Coming out here, I really appreciate that. We got some ferocity on our side up there. Well, you know the next speaker very well. He's one of your own. We wouldn't be here without him. The author of 1070, State Senator Russell Pearce, coming up. First of all, let me say thank you. I've talked to several of you out there who've come from a long distance. And this is finally America being taken back in one state at a time. Folks, I'm grateful for your participation here. We've ordered better weather than we had last weekend for you. Boy, I felt bad last weekend. 110 degrees, 3 and 4 hours out there in the sun. What a great day. What a great day to start a revolution. Folks, and that's what we've started here. It's just amazing to me that it didn't take long to piss off the President of the United States in a good way. But I want to tell you, I'm grateful for folks like Steve King in Congress now, who is vigilant on this issue. Tom Tancredo, who we need back in Congress, who is vigilant and has always been vigilant on this issue. Sheriff Joe, good friend, and who is vigilant on this issue. And you, the public. I don't know what the disconnect is in Washington, D.C., and we, the people. 70 to 80% consistently want our laws enforced, our borders secured, yet Congress can't get it. They continue to try to push amnesty down our throat. They continue to ignore the law. And people say, well, why are you doing this in Arizona? Well, they've only going to build a fence-secured border for a little over 30 years. I thought maybe waiting on them wasn't a wise thing to do. But in Arizona, we're doing a lot of things, not just 1070. We passed the toughest employer sanctions law in the nation. House Bill 2779. It's about time we wake up to our responsibilities, folks. We passed Proposition 200 in Arizona in 2004 that I wrote. Simply to stop welfare benefits to illegal aliens. Gee, you're here illegally, you ought to not be getting free stuff. And to demand that you're a citizen before you register to vote. A great disappointment to ACORN, I understand. But anyway, in fact, kind of interesting, it was not too long ago, what was it, 4 years ago when they had the 100,000 march here down Phoenix? You know they had registration booths set up where they started. They had registration booths set up along the road. They had registration booths where they ended up. Over 100,000 people marched in that, or at least that's the numbers they give us. I think they registered 9 people. Folks, it is important that we set up standards, that we put thresholds, enforce our laws, demand us. And I've talked to folks, and I have a list here, and I don't know that I'm going to read it all. But people talk about why we should enforce our, or what's the cost of enforcing this law. Folks, what is the cost of not enforcing this law? I mean, I'm tired of going to funerals because the government's complicit. I'm tired of talking to families who have suffered because government's failure. It is nothing short of malfeasance. It's a violation of the oath of office. I don't know why we put up with it. They all need to be fired when they take the side of lawbreakers over law keepers. I've attended these funerals. 12 Phoenix police officers, 6 killed, 6 seriously injured by illegal aliens. Chris Miller, killed. Tracy Kelly, killed. Multiple children in Chandler raped. A 15-year-old in Scottsdale Junior High raped. 15-year-old in Guadalupe kidnapped and raped. Folks, I haven't even started down the list yet what's going on. And I can name most of those names. You know, for Officer Figueroa, killed, Phoenix PD, good friend. Knows family well. Officer Earthly murdered by a known gang member. Officer Earthly, Officer Atkins, Officer Martin, Officer Setkiff, Officer Schechterly, burned, 4th-degree burns from over most of his body. I don't know what it takes before we realize the cost of failure. I mean, the hard cost, just a new study came out, the hard cost for failure to enforce these laws, just Arizona, $2.7 billion a year just to educate, medicate, and incarcerate. Those are hard costs. That's not county jail costs, it's not the cost of investigation, it's not the cost of prosecution, it's not the cost that the victims suffer, maybe forever. Nor is it the cost in loss of jobs. 26-year high in unemployment. You still think we need to import foreign labor and take jobs from Americans? Illegal foreign labor. It's about time we get real serious with the employers in this state who think it's okay to compete illegally, unfairly, and immorally against the honest employer. It's about time we start getting tough on those folks who ignore their responsibility. And again, you can go through these heartbreak stories, and I have many of them. But mixed with that, I tease people often. Gee, maybe I need a little more weight to hold me down up here. My wife says no. But anyway, I can tell you, a young man. Again, many of you probably have heard. It's a story I've told before. You know, I'm a fairly conservative Republican. And I tell people I owe my life to this Republican Party. And some people would ask me why. Well, as a young deputy shot by gang members, had a finger shot off, a shot through the chest. If I'd had a heart, I'd be dead today. So I want you to know I owe my life to this party. But on a more serious note, and that's a true story, not to owe my life to the Republican Party, I actually have a heart. But anyway, it just shows you what a small world is. We talk about victims, and I go to many of these funerals and I deal with these victims and their families. And my heart breaks every time. But you know, back in 2004, in the middle of this debate, and folks, I've been in this debate for a long time. I'm not a newcomer to it. You know, I wrote Proposition 200. I wrote in 1996 the law that prevents illegals from getting driver's license. You know, I wrote the law that makes it non-bondable for illegal aliens when they commit a crime in the state of Arizona. They're no longer allowed bond. I wrote a bill that stops, you know, a small tort reform. They sue an American citizen, they can't get punitive damages, no rewards. I wrote employer sanctions. I will continue on this trek until we solve the problem of illegal entry into this country. Our citizens deserve better. The cost is humongous, both in lives and in real dollars. And personally, I'm tired of it. And I got to tell you, I'm not a hateful guy. I don't know of anybody in this world that I hate. In fact, I can tell you my son was shot by an illegal alien, Sean, as deputy sheriff. I don't hate that young man. I hold government accountable. I can tell you, in fact, there's a small story with Sean. I was, again, 2004, I was speaking before a group in Washington, D.C. called the Brookings Institute, not a conservative organization. And as usual, I'm the only guy on the podium that thinks the laws ought to be enforced. But as we're debating, literally, I was at the podium, literally standing like I am here, except behind a podium, handed a note from my wife to call home, critical, emergency. And I'm thinking, wow, first thing through your head is a grandchild, injured, broken leg, broken arm, something serious. And I called home and my wife tells me, said, I don't know how bad it is, I just know that Sean's critical, being air vac to a local hospital, being shot while serving a homicide warrant. Well, I immediately making arrangements to catch a flight home a little sooner, and she calls back about an hour later and she says, Russell, it's going to make you mad. He was shot by an illegal alien who was wanted for homicide charges already. Folks, it does bring it home. Now, my son's okay. Thankful. Was critical. Shot in the chest, shot in the stomach. But he's okay. And he's with his beautiful family, and he's back on duty. And again, I call our men and women in uniform our hometown heroes. We have our soldiers fighting wars overseas. Well, folks, these folks are fighting wars every day in our neighborhoods to keep it safe, to work with us. In fact, in developing this bill, you'd think law enforcement had a problem with it, but it's not law enforcement. It's the police chiefs who are the puppets, who are political appointees of open border mayors. It's not the guys and gals on the street. The guys that endorsed this bill that I work with, who are 9 out of 15 year sheriffs, Sheriff Joe at the very front of that line,